goes to the top of it, it doesn't go to the bottom, so like arrays, they go to the bottom when you add something new, generally speaking. You add it to the end of the list, instead of the top of the list. Stacks will do the opposite, well, they'll add it to the first and they'll push everything else back. Do you guys know what pop does when you have a stack? The pop method?
It's the top thing off.
Yeah, so it removes the top thing off. And then what does push do? It adds one. Yeah. So that's the general idea of stacks. Any questions about stacks?
Sure, keep push.
Push is adding one to the top of the stack. And pop removes the top one. Yeah.
Sorry, so when you add something on the stack, and the top, and that's the person that would
If you use pop, yes.
use top,
Mhm.
and then push.
Push just adds one to the top.
Is there a way to take them apart?
There are, but you don't need to know. You don't need to know them right now. So I wouldn't worry about them because then you'll just get one.
Yeah, so that's for JavaScript, right?
It's used in Java too.
Okay.
You don't need to know how to actually implement stacks. Just understand the concept. It's a concept that's used in multiple programming languages.
Yeah.
So that's what's important about it is.
Is it all
So
stack?
pop.
Yes.
I
I don't think that's like
That
code.
replaces it.
Read it's like, stack, but that's the concept.
It just removes it.
Yes.
So a stack is not an array.
No. Not necessarily. Some programs may implement it as an array, but
But for us, we're just gonna say no for now.
anything else about stacks? There really isn't too much on stacks. Just understand that concept. The pop and push and you put things on the top. Know how to use the two uppercase method and the char at method. So the char at, you can find like, the third character in a string. So you should be able to review your old homeworks to see those.
What was the char method again? Char at?
Char at. And then there's parentheses after that. So that's one way that you could have gotten, on the one with all the grades, you could capitalize just that first one. You can get the char at the first location, so that would be location 0, and then 2 uppercase, so then it's just that one letter that goes to uppercase. Does that make sense? So that's one reason you could use it. There's more, but. So a few things with JavaScript. And you know how to change the content in the HTML using JavaScript. So I think you're required to do this for this project 4, I think. You have to do the get element by ID and the inner HTML method. So know how to use those.
What was that second one?
Inner HTML. I think he talks about that in his PowerPoint, but I know that you have to do that for the project. So if you can't figure it out for the project, come talk to us, we can help you figure that out. You need to use the script tag in the JavaScript file. No, only the HTML file. When it's a JavaScript file, it's implied. It knows that it's going to be a script. I would review your homework 7 on how to use dates in JavaScript. And then know how to do the window problems and the basic things that you guys have been learning. You don't have to do very in-depth for JavaScript, so just know the syntax, because there will be some questions that will ask you what it does. So
We won't have to do what in JavaScript?
you don't have to do a big project in JavaScript.
Okay.
They'll have one like snippet where it'll have you create a small function, but it shouldn't be more than 6 or 7 lines.
Okay.
So you don't need to study JavaScript in depth.
Okay.
Just what you guys have learned from homework 7, homework 8, and the project should be plenty
Okay.
for the test. As long as you understand how it works. So. Okay, so now I have just like this list of vocabulary that you guys should just know. Let me clear it up for you guys. And then I'll answer them. Yeah. defined in the book. I looked this morning and they're all in the book. If they don't have multiple pages, they are at least defined. Are there any that you guys want me to go over? You guys don't know signature? Okay, so signature is, it'd be a signature of a method is usually how it's used. So let me write a short little method to show you guys. Set names. Okay, so say I had this sort of method that you're just gonna set the first name and the last name, right? And then it would have stuff in the method. But the signature is right up here. So the first thing is that it's gonna be the name of the method. So the signature of this method is gonna be set names, and then it's the data type of all of its parameters. So it's set names, string, string is the signature of this method. If I added an int into here, it would be string, string, int. That's the signature. And this is important because you can't have two methods with the same name and the same signature. So if I have another and also the same return type. So if I was writing an overloaded method and I want to do string fname, string lname, int I lost this, I can't do this because it has the same signature. Even though these are different variables, the I1s and the I losses are different variables, that's not how it reads the methods. It needs to have different data types. Oh, sorry, I got it. Does that make a little bit of sense? Yes.
What happens if you switch the order around?
Then it's a different signature.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned also that if the return types were different?
Yeah,
Or
then,
if they were different, then would it be okay, or?
yeah, so if you have like one returning a string and one an int, sometimes it'll work. But it depends on how you set it up in your program. But generally, you're not gonna create two methods with different return types. Yeah.
So you said the signature of this one is set names, string, string, int?
Yes.
Okay.
So
So you
both of them, yeah.
include the name as well?
Yeah,
of
so you
the-
never have to write the signatures, just know that that's how you tell the difference between them.
Right, but just like in the multiple choice question, if you asked like,
Yeah.
what's the signature of this, it would include the name
Yeah.
and the.
So the biggest reason you need to know this though is overloading methods.
Uh-huh.
Is that you can't, like this is an overloaded method, and that's great, but it has the same signature, and so when you pass in the 3 parameters to it and you call the set names, it's not gonna know which one you want. But if you take away that one, then these are different signatures. Sarah, hand over here. You good? Okay, yeah.
Can you explain what you mean by overloading a method?
Yeah, so overloading a method is just having 2 methods with the same name. So you routinely have overloaded constructors.
Yeah.
Because you have the default and then you have
And you have the other changes.
the ones that you use.
Cool.
So this is where signatures are really good to know because they have to be different or they won't work. Yeah.
Final, the word final, that's used in error correction, right? Like you throw in a catch in the final thing, or is there a different use for it?
No, let me, hang on, I'm not showing my key. Because I have it right here. so
Final is
I'll
used to
put it down.
prevent future things overriding
Yeah.
the item. So we don't want, like, say you have in your parent, you have a variable that needs to stay the same no matter what. You don't want the child classes to ever come along and say, I'm overriding this and changing this. You use final to prevent that from happening.
So like if, for example, you're storing like social security numbers, you only really want to be able to change that. You want to like put it in once and then no one else can touch it, essentially. Yeah.
So it kind of just make sure I understood that. Say, for example, you use a social security number, you'd have like ISSN, and it'd have a value, and then within a function, you could pull in that value, edit it, could be like ISSN now equals the last four, and then print that out or something, but then up here ISSN would still be the full number, right? Is that what you're saying, like?
After you assign it to another variable. I don't think that's the idea of final though. It's just saying final, you can't change it once you set it.
Sorry, say that again?
Once you declare something as final, you can't change it.
But can you refer to it?
Yes, so you can get the attribute, but you can't change it. Yeah.
What's the syntax, is it like, how is it final?
I think you just declare it like final, like string,
Oh, it's-
but
okay.
you don't use it very often, you just need to know.
Thank you.
Kind of declare it like private, right?
I think so. Let me just make sure so I'm not telling you guys wrong. 260. Yeah, so you can use it on methods and then variables. Yeah, you just say final. So like final void class name and then final int. That's how you declare. So it is like declaring something private.
So, how many of you noticed that when you did calculate inside of your constructor, a little yellow line underneath it? I had a couple students that asked me about that. That's because it wanted you to make it final. And the reason for that was because since that method was inside the constructor, if that method had to return a specific value to make the constructor work, then if somewhere down the line I had a child class that changed that method, then it could essentially destroy my constructor and make my constructor so it won't want to work. And so what it was trying to do is protect you from ever overriding that method by making it final. But since we never had a child class that was lower than that particular class, we didn't worry about it. We just said, go ahead and be a normal method and don't worry about final. Even though if you change the final, like if you just like right click and change the fix the code, it would change the final and wouldn't affect your code any. It would just work the same because the only purpose of final is to make sure that it doesn't get changed later down the road.
Okay, any other questions about these broke down? Yeah.
Overriding and abstract.
Okay, so overriding is, one example of this is if you have a parent in a subclass, like person and student. The person has the first name, the last name, the student has like their grade. If you have a set first name in both classes, a method for both, that's an overriding class. The one in the subclass will always override the superclass. So it's gonna receive the same things, it's gonna do the same thing, but it's always gonna call the one in the subclass, not the superclass. Yeah.
Overriding also occurs when you, for example, in the constructor of a class, use the same variable names in the parameters as exist in the actual class itself, right? And then use this dot variable name to refer to the class's variables. Is that considered overriding?
That's not really overriding because
Yeah.
the program's smart enough to realize that the values are coming in from different spots. The this is making sure that the program understands that inside of your method, inside the method you need to specify that you're getting the ones from the method and then you also have the ones from the class. And this is just referencing the ones from the class, but it's not really overriding those methods because the ones coming in from the method don't actually replace the ones from the class. It just has a hard time distinguishing between the two, but they're actually two different values that come in. It just doesn't always know how to distinguish between the two, and that's why I use this. Whereas overriding actually replaces the code and actually replaces what was there previously. Does that make sense?
So if you create like in both classes a set first name, it probably turns yellow, like the underline will be yellow in the parent class, and it'll say that it has an overriding method. And that's just referring to the subclass. So, did you say another abstract?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna let Cecil explain this one.
Okay,
This is a hard one.
so abstract is something that is, you're going to have a class, and can someone just tell me what you think abstract means? Just the word, like, if I were to look into the dictionary, what would abstract mean? Not tangible. Thank you. That's basically the whole idea behind the abstract class. It's a non-tangible class. And so when I make like a, what's a good example?
Person, student.
We can do person student. Person student is not as,
Shape and triangle.
shape and triangle, that's a good one. Okay, so shape and triangles. Okay, perfect. I like that. So, how would you draw a shape? If I asked you to just draw a shape, and not to actually draw like a rectangle or a circle or a triangle, how would you draw just a shape? Without drawing an actual shape, how do you draw a shape?
You use a line and you move it and you connect it.
But
Then
couldn't
you're still
I,
creating like a triangle.
or an
a
oblong,
rectangle.
or a blob, I could call it, I could still say that you created me an actual shape, and now it's no longer just a shape. That's the whole idea. Shape is abstract. We understand that there's something there, and that a shape might have, like size, and shapes might have other values that an attribute's assigned to it, but there's no way to actually create it. And so in our models, we might have something that says, here's a class, and this class has values that we can assign to it, and it has specific things that we can give to it, like it's basically, think of it as like a beginning template. Okay, it's something to start with, but we can't ever actually make it. And so we put abstract on there because making it doesn't really make sense. And so then we use child classes to extend that basic main class that's abstract. And those child classes we can actually make, like circles and squares and rectangles. We'd have child classes of circles, squares, and rectangles that when I say, please make me a shape, you say, well, I can't really do that, but I can make you a square or a circle. And then I'd say, okay, let's make a circle. And so you do not go to the shape class, you say, okay, well, all squares and circles and shapes have attributes of like area. Yeah, area is a good one. They all have area, so that would be up to my abstract class. But to actually create the shape, I have to call it the child class. Does that make sense?
So from understanding you, it's kind of like, I'm just gonna re-say it back to you.
Yeah, go for it.
So you'd have a parent class that says shape. We know that shape's gonna have a couple of attributes like area and maybe some kind of border or outline.
A border outline.
But we don't actually, but as soon as you create a shape, it becomes a different shape, like a triangle or a blob.
No, so you're gonna create the
A
triangle
subclass.
that will be also shaped.
Okay,
You're never
so-
gonna create just a shape.
Okay, so the shape has the abstract concept, and then you'd have triangle extends shape, because we know it's gonna have
Yes.
area.
Exactly.
That make a lot more sense. So you're never just gonna create just the parent class if it's an abstract class. You're gonna always create a child class to go along with the parent class. Yeah.
Will it still have the diameter and area of the parent class?
Yes. So it'll have the values in the parent class, but you can't just create the parent class. So like if we were to do the student like person, you could just create a person and that would make sense, right? But with shapes, you're not just gonna create like, oh, a shape. You're gonna create a triangle, which is a shape, or a square, which is a shape. Yeah.
So do we have to do anything different in the programming for an abstract
You just
class?
declare it as abstract.
So,
So instead of like public, I think it's abstract. Yeah,
So it's-
abstract class and then the name of it. That is the only
And
difference.
so what does that do once it's?
Abstract doesn't allow you.
It doesn't allow you to create it.
Yes.
and so, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm kind of reading about it. It says you can do abstract methods. What does that do?
No, I wouldn't worry about that at this point.
Like, it's going to be the same idea,
Yeah.
but it's just going to be a lot more specific to the
How you implement it.
how you're implementing it. You'll see stuff like this in major programs in code, and like right now in Python we're using abstract class called models.model. You'll never actually make a model class. You'll always extend from the models
To use
class.
the attributes of that.
Exactly.
abstract
You just wanted the
class.
attributes, and it just saves you time having to put those into every single model you create and then setting up the structure and stuff. But
And that way, no one that comes along after can like make a class or model. I can't make a topic instead.
No, they have to make the child a class.
Does everyone get
You
that?
don't need to know this super in depth. Just kind of know you can't make an abstract class in and of itself. You have to create its child instead.
Does everyone get this more or less? Like, it feels pretty good? Okay.
Any other of these that you want me to go over? One thing I would recommend is going over the past tests and looking at like the vocab-based questions. So there was one on the last test where he gave you the answer about the instructors having a return type. Questions like that, review those. 'Cause there could be similar ones on that, but. Okay, anything else on vocab? Okay, so, the last thing that I have is just, questions on, questions on project 3. Project 3 will be the best one for you to study for the program on the test. So, do you want me to just go over the logic? Like walk you through like my version of it, or do you wanna ask questions? Yes?
Firstly, like, what did you guys see as the biggest error when you're grading them? Like, what did you see that popped up a lot? Was there any errors that people did frequently?
Let me look. Not calling the super. Yeah, comments. Those are the worst points to lose. Like, I hate taking points for comments, but we have to.
And you have
Like,
we always have 3 different categories for comments. You have your name, sorry,
the description of the program, and then also like the logic comments. Logic comments are usually worth slightly more, but I don't know.
just make sure you have all 3 in there because they really are easy points to get. And in the programming world, you need all 3 if you're going to stay.
So then when you look back at it 2 weeks later, you're like, I know what I'm doing because of comments. So, okay, so you just want me to walk through it? Okay.
And just, are we gonna have to do exception handling on that?
Not that I know. I need to double check the instructions. If it is, it might be just basic stuff. You don't want it to be full. But I don't think,
Like on the program though?
I don't think you need to. Except for like ties. There's things like ties.
Well, we wouldn't use catch and throw for
Yeah,
that.
no, that wouldn't be a catch and throw. I don't think you need any catch and throws in there. So, you just need to know how to like simplify like because that's not really kind of an exception, but it's
She
not.
said
Yeah.
she'll only throw down people that it won't affect their grade. That's too bad.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me see if I can
What do you have? 65?
add this text in. Any other questions about project 3 before I pull this up? Oh, do you guys want to do arrays or array lists? Which ones would you like to see? Array list? Okay, it is easy. But if anyone is more comfortable with arrays on the test, I will do arrays. Just so you know, don't do the one that you're uncomfortable with on the test.
So I don't know if this is accurate. But like,
Just find out how to increase the line.
it's pretty big. It's like half a percent. Because it's half a percent. So but I don't think there's no way it's that. She never give you, but she said she accepts that she never give you 4 points. Like that's a big thing. But I think that's why our average is so high because like well, everybody's
And then questions. That's all I have for
What do you have? This one? Yeah, that probably is pretty good.
I'm not sure. I don't know. I haven't thought about it like that.
That's good. What if I got $100?
I didn't know that was on there.
Someone else?
Like the last one, yeah, I would know how to do that. Yeah. Yeah, I would know how to do that. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to know how to do arrays.
Well, put an array as an attribute in a object. That's what it's doing.
Does everyone understand that you can do arrays of arrays?
Yeah.
I know the last midterm, you're supposed to put a course array within the student array.
We should have to do that.
Yeah, we go.
We should have to do that.
That was,
That was.
Yeah.
Would you rather do that or go with project group?
Is that gonna be on?
They'll put something together and I'll talk about project. Hey, can you guys see this
Pinterest
one?
for now.
Or do I need to make it bigger?
That's it like that, and it changes your opinion of it, doesn't it? It's not quite, but.
Is this good? Okay. So for project 3, you had to have the 2 different classes, the team and the basketball team, right? So I'm using Maxwell's class, just so you guys know this isn't mine. So you have the team class, and make sure you know how to do the protected, private, and public, which is another difference between the 3. That's another one that I forgot to mention. So he has the constructors, the gets and the sets, and honestly just put those in automatically when you create a class, because chances are it's going to want you to have all the gets and the sets. So then there's the basketball team, which extends team, and it just has one additional attribute, but constructors, the getters, and the setters. And just to show an example of this, what we were talking about earlier, about the overriding methods. If I were to take this set team name and put it in this class,
it's outside the code grades. Okay.
it doesn't have to close.
It's part of the method of building.
Yeah.
No. That would be. So, if you see there's like this little yellow, and it says to add the override. That's just for your notes, but if you look back over here, this should say that it's an overriding method. So it doesn't right now. But that's an overriding method because it's always going to call this one in basketball team instead of the one team. So that's just to show you what that actually looks like. You don't need to do that though. It's not a big deal. So any questions about setting up the classes? Just remember the extends up here. And remember the supers and your constructors. That's good?
Did you set a getter for the status? Okay, this thing, sorry.
And you don't have to necessarily keep the regular one, so like this one is changed, because this one is just gonna figure out the status by itself instead of you passing it in. And if you want to do that, you don't actually have to have parameters here. Because if I took this out and I could just call the set status and not pass anything in, it will get the wins from what is stored in the class. Does that make sense? It doesn't hurt to pass it in, but yeah.
For example, I put that if statement, I put it in the main program.
Yes.
Instead of putting it as a basketball team class. Would that be a problem, or would they specify?
Only if the
where-
program says to create a method that does that for you. Then you get lots of some points for not creating a simple method. But the logic, it works. So if it doesn't specify, then that's fine. Okay, so then we have the main code. You guys remember it looks something like this. The conference teams, the non-conference teams. And for the test, you will be given this. The GUI will be created. You will download the NetBeans project, you'll extract it, and then it will have this already created for you. The hardest part may be just knowing what things are labeled as, because you didn't do the labeling yourself. Professor Anderson did that.
I think I see labeled or.
Yeah, he's pretty consistent in the way that he labels. So like, he would probably label this one like team 1 or LBL team 1, and then this would be LBL team 2. You know, he's usually pretty consistent with his labeling things. Okay. So then also a shortcut that I don't know if everyone knows, that if you create a button and then you want to code that button out, if you just double click it, it'll take you to where you should put that code. So then you're not digging through the entire list of generating code to find it. Yes.
Will there be a difference between action and coercion?
Not really. So as long as it works and it's connected to the button. Okay. So go over to the reset button real quick. Just know that you need to usually set the text as blank. So you're just using set text. Sometimes you also have to clear out arrays or array list. Not always. Sometimes it'll ask you to do that though. Or it'll ask you to do the set focus. I think you did that on project 2. You set the cursor focus. And you reset it. So, yeah. Any questions so far? Also know how to do the exit button. It's just this. Don't lose points on this. Do that first. It takes 3 seconds. So here's the logic of all this. So it declares these variables and creates a new team list or array list. And then this is really good to know. Some people didn't do this. A lot of people hard-coded it. Okay, not a lot of people. A handful of people hard-coded the teams into the array list. And this is the better way to do it, because if we ever want to go back to here and say, well, let me change this and get rid of Gonzaga. Gonzaga is no longer in here. Then I just have to change it here and not in multiple places in my code as well. Because this is just going to get the size of that list by using the get model, get size. And then you can get model, get element at. And that'll pull the value in. Does that make sense? Most of you use this, but a few didn't, so just want to point that out. Is there a question? Okay. So this next one, there was a handful of different ways to do this logic.
No, wait, can you show that code one?
Yeah. So for looping through the games, there's a bunch of different ways that you can work the logic through. So if you did it and yours worked, and you didn't get double points for the logic, then this might just be a different way to do it. So this one, it counts if there's been 2 games, so that the conference teams play each other twice. And then it executes this loop. So this outer loop is the full size of the list. And also at this point here, you can do just the size of the array instead of getting the size of the list. Since now you've created your array, it has the right size in there, so you can do that as well. You don't have to. It depends on how you set up the rest of it. Either way could work. It just depends on how you set it up. So, like I said, there's many ways to do this. So I didn't do a negative one when I ran on it. So there's just many ways to do this. So this one, this outside, this inner loop, it again gets the size and it subtracts 1, so it doesn't repeat 1. And then it also starts at the next number, so it's going to start 1 past outer loop, so that the team doesn't play itself. So here's the scoring. Do whiles are awesome for accounting for ties. Not everyone uses them, and that's fine. You can do it with a while, but then you're generally repeating code, because you're generating the code and then you're running it through the while, which generates that same code. If that makes sense. So whiles look more like run these before you run the while as well. So that's how, where do whiles come in handy, because then you don't have to have this code listed twice. If that makes sense. Because the do whiles will execute at least once. So this do while will go through this once and then go through it again if it's tied. Another thing a handful of people missed is adding this before checking for the ties. Because what if the score was 80, 85, and you check for the tie, it's not tied, so it's fine, then it goes down to the next one, and then it adds 5 points to the team of 80. Now they're tied. And that's where you're gonna cause errors later on, because then it's not gonna add a win or a loss. So, make sure you think through that logic completely. Know this method pretty well, how to use check to see if a checkbox is selected. This is also the same thing you do to see if radio buttons are selected. Radio buttons are the ones where you can put like 1 of 4. So on the Learn Suite quizzes, those are radio buttons. So you can only click one of them at a time.
What? For the second game, how do you check? How do you add extra 5 points to that? You just do the same.
This is not good. Okay, so he has a variable set as I home advantage. That starts as 0.
The second.
So if it's 0, just does it.
The second.
No, the second game you still do the home team advantage. You just switch who gets it.
Yeah. So, but did you just copy and paste that? You just do the same do while.
It depends on how you set it up. Because this one, it runs through this twice, so you wouldn't just copy and paste it, because then you're playing 4 games. But if you're not running through it twice, you could just put this twice and then switch who gets the advantage. If that makes sense. So that's why it's helpful to write the flowchart, or at least a rough one. You don't need to do the symbols or anything, you just write the flow of the logic so that it'll help you. Because the logic is what will kill you in the final. If you don't understand the logic, you're going to struggle the whole time, and then it's really frustrating. But if you establish the logic at the beginning, you feel more comfortable the rest of the time. So then you set the wins and set the losses, and I'm assuming that these ones just increment it. So he, in his set wins, he passes in a number, and then just adds it, instead of just setting it as 1. So he modified this setter. One thing I did is I actually created, let's see, in mine, this is a different program, so slightly different. I created a new method to just add a win and add a loss, and I just called that method every time to add one. So there's many ways to do that. Yeah, so then he expressed the home advantage and then the other 2 gets the advantage. So, does that part make sense? And then that loops through twice because he has this while loop while I game count is less than 2. So the conference teams play with each other twice. This next one is the non-conference teams. And you didn't need to create an array list of non-conference teams. That tended to throw people off. It could work, but sometimes people got thrown off by that. But you can create different array lists if you need to. Again, he has this do while, and there's no home team advantage now. So it's just simply get the score, see who wins. And then he doesn't keep track of the wins or losses for this inner loop team, because it's never displayed or needed in the program. Any questions so far? Okay. I think I've played with this, so that's fine. So now this one is setting the status for each team, so it's running each team's wins through the set status method. so that it gets March Madness, NIT, or CU next year. And then it's also getting to set win-loss percent. It's passing in the wins and losses to calculate that. Also, win-loss percent, when you calculate it, it is wins divided by wins plus losses. It is not wins divided by losses. You will get dock points for that, if that was on there. I think he had on the last, I don't know, there's somewhere where, one of the projects, I think, where that is an incorrect way to calculate it. So just know it's wins divided by wins plus losses. So then he just set all the text by going through these. This is the easiest way to do it, it's just to copy and paste, honestly. A lot of people tried to do arrays. Not a lot. A handful of people tried to do arrays to dynamically set these. Some people were successful and some were not. So they lost points for it. So just know that if you can get it to work, make sure you can get it to work quickly. Because you won't have a ton of time to get that to work. It's just easier if you can just set that. What I usually do is I just make one chunk and then I copy it and I paste it for each team, and then I just have to change like this number and then to 2, and then the next one to 3, and then get these numbers changed.
I think it's a trick. I think if you hit Control H, you can do find and replace. And so you copy paste it like however many times you need, and then you hit Control H and you type in the name of the first one, the LB1 place name, and then you in the replace section you put like LB whatever 2 place name, and you can just go through it real quick.
Yeah.
And you can replace everything super, super fast.
Yeah. So, another thing that I have seen people do is they'll set a variable up here, and then they'll just put the variable in this. And then you just have to change the labels' names. So, just know that's possible as well. Just make sure you're consistent and it makes sense to you. Don't do things that are confusing to you on the test. Because that's when you start to make more mistakes. Okay, any other questions on this, on the logic or how things were done?
Good question.
Yeah.
Is there, so I did it differently. Like when we get to the test, is it gonna be such that there's like a, I don't know,
No,
like.
there's multiple ways to get things done.
Okay,
So this is just one example of logic
Okay.
that you could do. There were some people that didn't have them play twice in a row.
Mhm.
They just had each team play every other team once. So then when it got to the next one, it played every other team once, and so that added up to 2 teams,
Mhm.
twice per team.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah. So they both work.
Okay,
So I wouldn't worry about
cool.
that.
Okay, thank you.
Just make sure that it works.
Great.
Because for this one, some people did some logic, and then not all the teams got played. So, and I would manually count things like this. I know I posted on Slack what the magic number was for this one. It's like 24. Every team should have played 24 games. We won't give you anything like that on the test. So I would manually count, go through to check your code. And if you also are getting lost, one thing I noticed that he did in here at one place, is you can use system.out.println to help you debug it. If you just can't figure out why it's not working, just print it out in the console, because then it'll come up down here. No one else will see it. We won't see it. You can comment this out after you're done. And that can help you figure out what's going on. If that makes sense. Yeah.
How do you print it out just the console?
It's just this.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, it's a system out of print line. So if I run this should print everyone's win-loss percents. So let me do this. Because it's not going to show up in here at all. But it shows up down here, and this isn't part of the GUI, so it's fine.
You just highlighted that to the play button?
No, it's in his
No, it
code.
ran everything else
It's
too.
just in his code.
Yeah. So I was just showing you that's the line. And another thing you can do is you can also, one thing I find helpful more than just like numbers. Like, so that when you run it, it'll print the team name and then their percentage. So, just using that can really help you work through your logic and debug where things go wrong. Yeah.
Can you show us that collections sorting then?
Yeah. So, well, that's part of it. Where did you put the rest of your collections?
It should be in that folder. Should be.
That was like up top.
Say that again? No, it's in a different, like I made a new tab for class and
Okay,
everything.
so it's another file.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's many places where you can put this. Yeah, so he created another class. You don't have to create another class, you could just take this and put it in your code, like he has in his Java snippet on Slack. Just know how to do that though. So this one, it gets the two teams and it compares their wins. And then it sorts it for you. But you just have to tell it what to sort it on. So if you wanted to sort it by losses, you just change this to like losses. So then it would sort it based on the losses, as long as you pass in the losses.
And then how do you make it so that, like, a sorting descending versus ascending?
You don't need to worry about this.
Okay.
I don't know how to do it with ArrayList.
Okay.
I have it with arrays, but that's the more complicated way.
Okay.
Oh, you just switch these? Oh, yeah. That's how you do it.
Okay.
So if it's lower, then you're just gonna leave it there, and then if it's higher, you're gonna move it down.
Okay. Cool.
So, does that make sense? So then when you called it in,
I want to open a file.
not that one.
I want to open a file.
Here, passes in the array list. It calls the class that he made. So his file is called wins comparator. Any other questions? So if you guys want to see putting an array list or an array within an object, like on Venture 2, you just about done or? Okay. He's just about done, so. Any last questions? About the test? Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes?
I would definitely plan for the full 3, so don't expect to get out earlier. The logic is tough, and so it does take a long time. I believe the code itself will probably be longer than the project. If it's written. It is a very, it's big. So, yeah.
What's I guess the difference between, it has like set text, team info dot get 0, and it has string dot value of.
Yeah.
Well, what is?
So you can't put integers as text.
Oh, okay,
Java
that's
just
just
tends to get yells at you, but if you convert it to a string,
Okay.
you can do that. Also, a cheater way to do this, if you really get stuck on the test, that one's the preferred way, is the string.value
String
of.
plus parentheses.
That turns it into a string. So,
Oh, because you just need cat base under other.
and that is a string. So, but you will definitely prefer the string.value of.
you just do a shortcut just now, so I can make it a string of value.
So it doesn't make it a string that value of, it just concatenates it and becomes a string?
No, I'm sorry, did you just do control Z?
Yeah, just do
okay.
control Z.
I thought you did some sort of.
No, I just do control Z. And know the shortcut for system.out.println if you're gonna debug like that? SOUT.tab. That'll make things quicker for you. Remember to declare your random generator as a variable. Some people have been forgetting that lately and end up having problems. You need to import it and then also set it equal to a variable. So this is called random generator.
Last night I did my comparisons of like
Don't put the
strings
number
and
in
stuff.
here.
'Cause I didn't know how to compare
Then it won't work.
And,
These are just little bugs that people tend to run into.
have to compare.
So then when you use the random generator, you can call the name and then do next int.
So like with integers, you do this, return integer dot compare.
Okay?
And then on this one, you do,
Yes, sir.
you have to get the name, but you have to compare it. I didn't know that.
So you load it with it.
I just want to see. Get it? Trailer? I want to watch it. You have to, are you a Star Wars freak? Are you like this nerd that I just don't know about? You're doing divs? You're making it pretty?
Okay, for the last question.
I'm just messing around. The problem I had before was
These were changed to this array.
when I wrote it, because it's changing the image came out, it's
Okay,
getting rid of the
just for
buttons.
anyone that's interested,
It's
so you know how
overriding
this will be done.
So like,
This
what's the difference between document dot writing? So this is what I read. The person showed me.
So what
Someone
I'm
was
doing is
always
bringing a
fine.
string array that
I
has
go
a
and
bunch
display
of
my
names in it, and then taking that,
Get the element.
a student array
So
that
to display.
has multiple spots. What actually makes sense for this would be to name this one here a class rather than
But it's taking
student.
out your buttons when you reset it. Yeah. Not when I reset it, just when I normally do it.
Okay, so we have a class, and we have multiple classes, and we're going to take those classes, and we're going to fill them up with students. So we have a whole bunch of different classes, and then inside of each class, we're going to have a whole bunch of different students. And what ends up happening is we have, when you put the two brackets together like this, it causes you to make an array inside of an array. So you have a set of arrays going across, and then you have a set of arrays going down, and each array going across. Each spot in the first array will have spots for additional arrays going down, which will have students inside of those. Does that make sense?
Try button.
And so what ends up happening is when you create your for loops, you have to have two for loops. One that increments the first spot, this spot right here, has to be incremented by this first for loop. And the second spot right here
What's your function?
is being incremented by the second for loop. Does that make sense? And so as we go through this, we're throwing students into their arrays, and the arrays of each class we're putting into a spot inside of other array.
And then you have right there.
Comment on slide. Okay. And so, yeah, basically that's what ends up happening. And then when we run it, what we end up getting is a whole bunch of people inside of. So here's my first array. So this would be my first class right here, class number 1. Then this would be class number 2 right here. And then I have 3, class 4, class 5. So I've got 5 classes. Each class has 5 students in it. And
It's different than like an array list, it's just arrays.
you could do the same thing with array lists if you wanted to. We're just doing it with arrays.
I put the JavaScript down.
Do it with the array list, you probably want to go online and look at how to do it with the array list. Arrays, keep that.
So you put your source JavaScript down here.
Question on,
That's what I did. I don't know if that's.
you know, when you do classes in JavaScript,
So in JavaScript, what you're going to do in the class is just an object. If you look at, Mr. Anderson has a PowerPoint, and inside that PowerPoint it talks about making objects, and then the object is the loop. If anyone ever asks you what is a class is an object.
If you
And so, if you look at that PowerPoint,
you figure out how to do that. You just check it and see if
I don't have that PowerPoint.
or if it's whatever you're. Yeah, whatever.
You okay, Calvin?
So you can find the PowerPoint here on the schedule in week 13. And we open it up.
So they show up for this month because I put this script. So this was already there before this showed
Look
up.
at this. This is the last. This is probably the one that you want to try and do.
No, you can do something global.
Okay.
So don't put it within a function.
No, put it in the HTML or yeah.
all right, thanks.
Try those.
Next grade, we said they're like
Yeah, it's really.
I didn't trust those people.
So you're talking about see if this is so this is my parent class. I have my and then I have my default basketball team because I need to call the super to call the default.
So right here, what you're doing is you're going to the default. So you're
Also, if you want to.
if you don't want it to hold the default in the parent, like if you always want the parent to have the first name then what you should do is you need to call this super that corresponds to the team.
Oh, so I could call from my default and just choose
Yeah. So
and I would just put
you
in
put in the parameters for the super.
so my default, my child would
Always would call.
okay, so just
It sounds like I have to, on the email that he
It
sent out.
depends on what the requirements are for the project and how you're supposed to be doing it. The problem is that getting super, and if you don't have super inside of that, you lose points whether it works or not. And so by making sure, see in my mind, it makes sense to say, okay, you ready for that? You can put in just this blank, like a team.
And this just means that
You can put this in, and sometimes I really like that incident because like they just show you that you can have multiple constructors inside. It's just like more. But the problem is that if you put that in there, make sure you put the super on the back. Otherwise, the program will do the super for you. It'll call this one instead of this one, and so your program looks like it's running, it looks like it's running fine, and everything seems to be good, but it's not doing what you think it's doing. And so you have to have the super in there.
No, I've started
Either way,
on it.
however you go, just make sure you have the super in there. That's basically just make sure you have super in there.
It's like you click the button and it disappears. And
Yeah, you know, like
once I
That's like, are you replacing those words with the buttons? Like, are you sorting
yeah,
is maybe like your HTML like covering it up when it starts.
The way I understood it was like this dot HTML doesn't like take away from what already exists inside. It's like kind of
You don't have it.
whatever's inside the div. Like how do you override it? That's what I said.
Yeah, I think so. If that's the idea, dude. What I would do is I would do like for example, if you had like an H1 tag or something, do like H1 and then have the ID in that, and then access that ID, not the ID of the div.
Because that's what I did. I did a paragraph, and then I did the ID, and then I gave it something.
Yeah.
So that's probably what it is. So he said that you can do that. It's not required. It just like depends on what you want to do. He said that you'll be safe though if you always put super child class for this class and what we're trying to do. The thing is, so when I want to call this super right here, I have to have, because he was saying that I could like, if I wanted to, I could call this one right here. So and I would just do, yeah, I have to pass it some. I have to pass it some. If I want to do, if I'm going to link these two together, like this constructor with this constructor, I have to pass it parameters because I have to tell what super to get. Yeah. So he said that's not required, but you're always safe if you do it. So.
Yeah, exactly. Go to your directory, select what you want, flag those. Okay, just control copy, and then go into here, paste them. That will not move the files in your directory around, leave the files there, it's blank. And then here you'll enter your directory, and then once you're done with this, click on this, and you just come down to center, and yours looks like it's using this.
So I don't feel like this is. I don't feel like this is against the rules on the final. Who are you gonna fire?
Okay, so I think these are basic electrical listeners. Okay, so since there's a big problem, don't submit zip files or multiple email. Okay, there's a lot. Just take the files, dump them into a folder, take that folder, upload them, files, via email. These should be small enough that you should be able to have it. Don't upload this area in Drive. Once it's in Drive, it's So it'll be the home itself of my game, and then also the project shop from Project 3. That's fine. It's just sad. Okay, so I think this essentially is it.
Hey, dude. I don't know if he said that he's not supposed to grade it if I'm not in his section. Yeah. So I'm probably gonna go ahead. So I'm gonna go to the other one. I'm just gonna double check with him. So Logan. So is this your section here?
No, this is my section just on sheet 1. I can put it into one list. There were 2 lists. Are you in section 3?
I'm in the 1231.
Oh, so you're in
section
the other
2.
section.
Yeah. So.
Then you probably should sign up there.
So this one is the. So the problem is that it says that this is at 9:32 a.m.
Yeah, that's the same. So you need to go. He has it like posted on Learning Suite. When you click on like where you submit your there's like a project assignment, and you click into it, and you can click. There's like a link.
So this. It's not this link that's over here.
No, that's just for section 3.
If I was at a conference for
for city managers in St. George last class. I was required to go for work.
So,
Is there a time I can get?
where do you?
Talk about ordinance for 5 minutes?
This is why I also had an issue with this. Oops, no, it's under here. Like you can, like at the where the project is, it's like right here. This is what it was like so hard to find.
Freaking heck.
So you can go to the 12:30 class, which is why I created another list, and that's why like I had no idea what was going on.
Pardon me. Thank you. Yes.
But he did like times, but I just don't think that that's gonna work. Like some people only present for a minute, some people might go over.
So,
normal distribution.
Yeah, great.